Hi, I'm Ashley and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 11 YA fantasy books coming out this February. So 4 of these books are ones that I have previously talked about in my most anticipated 2025 YA fantasy books video that I posted in December. So I am just going to mention their titles and the release dates in this video, so I'm not being too repetitive. But I will post that video down below if you are interested in knowing more about these books. So I'm going to start with mentioning those 4 books first. So the first one, book number 1, comes out on February 4th, and it's The Beast We Bury by D.L. Taylor. And this is the first book in the Broken Citadel series. Book number 2 comes out on February 11th, and is Where Shadows Bloom by Catherine Bakewell. This is the same author who wrote Flowerheart, and I really enjoyed that one, so I am looking forward to this one. Book number 3 comes out on February 25th and is Unlock the Dark by Sasa. And this one is a standalone. And this one features a male love interest who is a bookworm. And that little detail right there makes me particularly interested in this one. And then book number 4 also comes out on February 25th and is The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor. And this one takes place in a world where there is magic that revolves around letters. So those are the 4 books that I mentioned in my previous video. So now let's talk about the others that I haven't mentioned before. So I'm going to talk about these in order of publication date from soonest to latest. So book number 5 comes out on February 4th and is This Ends in Embers by Kamilah Cole. And this is book number 2 and the conclusion in the Divine Traders duology. And I read the first book in this duology, So Let Them Burn, last year, and I really enjoyed that book, and it also ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, so I definitely will be picking this one up at some point this year. This series has dragons, both real ones and mechanical ones, lots of action, magic, gods and goddesses, and romance. And if you are a fan of Fourth Wing and dragon books and you haven't checked out this duology yet, then you definitely should. Book number 6 also comes out on February 4th and is The Rose Bargain by Sasha Peyton Smith. And this is book 1 in a Victorian-inspired romantasy duology. So this book takes place in an alternate London in 1848, where for 400 years an immortal fairy queen has been on the throne of England, and she tricked her way onto the throne. Our main character in this book is Ivy Benton, and she is just about to make her debut into society. And as part of her debut, she gets to meet the fairy queen, and the fairy queen will grant one of her desires. But these wishes always come with a price. However, Ivy's life is just a complete mess. Her family's social standing is in shambles. Her sister, who mysteriously disappeared, has now come back and is a shadow of her former self. And Ivy's marriage prospects are non-existent. And so Ivy thinks that not even a deal with the queen could fix her life in the mess that it is. But when the queen announces a competition for Prince Bram's hand in marriage, Ivy sees this as a golden opportunity, and so she signs up right away for this competition. But what she doesn't expect is the help of Prince Bram's brother, Emmett, who promises to help Ivy gain Prince Bram's heart for a price. And so our story goes from there. And so this one has a very intriguing premise with a fairy being the Queen of England. I'm also very interested to see what these trials entail and also to see the romance unfold. Book number 7 also comes out on February 4th and is The Underwood Tapes by Amanda Dewitt. So this one has fantasy elements, but it also has supernatural elements as well. And this one follows Grace, whose mother unexpectedly passed away in a car crash before the start of the story. And so now it's summertime and she decides that she needs to get away from the memories of her mother. So she is going to go to her mother's small hometown in Florida. And she thinks this is a good way for her to get away from memories of her mother because her mother left her hometown 30 years ago. So Grace has no connection to her hometown. And so she goes to her mother's hometown and she gets a summer job transcribing cassette tapes for the Historical Society there. And she thinks this is just going to be like a nice, boring summer job that will keep her busy and keep her thoughts off of her mother. But then when she is transcribing the cassette tapes, she ends up hearing the voice of a dead boy. And this voice belongs to Jake Underwood, who first recorded the cassette tapes back in 1992. And so the two of them impossibly end up striking up a conversation and start to develop a friendship. Through her conversations with Jake, Grace learns that this small town may be keeping secrets. And those secrets just might be related to why no one talks about the hurricane that happened in the 1970s that killed Jake's uncle, and also why no one talks about Jake. So book number 8 also comes out on February 4th, and it's Under the Same Stars by Libba Bray. So this one on Goodreads is categorized as fantasy, but I actually think, looking at it more now, that it's more historical fiction with a mystery. And the whole reason this one caught my eye is because I have read Libba Bray's 2 other series and love both of them. Her Gemma Doyle series, which book 1 is A Great and Terrible Beauty, I read that one back when I was a teenager and I devoured that series. And then her Diviner series, which I read back in 2020, I also loved. So that's mainly why this one is on this list. So this one focuses on 3 separate timelines following different characters through those timelines. And the first one takes place in 1940s Germany during World War II and the Holocaust. And that one follows 2 best friends, Sophie and Hannah. And in their timeline, there is this tree known as the bridegroom's oak. And it's said if you write to this tree, the love of your life will write you back. And so the 2 of them are sending letters. And Sophie is sending letters for the purpose of finding love, but Hannah has different reasons for sending letters. And then the second timeline is 1980s West Germany, and this one follows American teen transplant Jenny, who is having a hard time fitting into her life in West Germany. But then she meets and falls in love with Tina, a punk rock girl hellbent on tearing down the wall between East and West Germany. And then our final timeline takes place in spring 2020 in New York City. And this timeline follows Miles and Chloe, who are best friends, and they end up receiving an unexpected package from Chloe's grandmother that leads to them investigating a cold case of 2 unidentified teenagers who went missing under the bridegroom oak tree 80 years ago. And so this one just sounds very fascinating, and I'm interested to see how all 3 of these timelines weave together. Book number 9 comes out on February 11th, and it is The Forest King's Daughter by Elly Blake. And this one is an enemies to forbidden lovers romantasy, and it's the first book in a series. So for this one, I'm just going to read the book synopsis because I feel like it describes it better than I could. So here we go. Once upon a time, among the blood-red trees of Thirstwood, a young forest princess became friends with a lonely boy from underground. He gifted her an amber ring, a worthless trinket, or so he thought, because no sooner did he slide it onto her finger than the queen of the underground and the forest king declared war. Years later, Cassia is a crucial force in her father's army, wielding her ring of light that can blind and disorient hundreds of enemies at a time. Then, battle-hardened Zero abducts her, planning to steal the ring back to fix his costly childhood mistake. Exhausted, terrified, and more than a little mistrusting, Cassia is forced to travel with Zero to a place they both believed only existed in storybooks, one where their childhood friendship slowly rekindles into something much more. But it's only a matter of time before the war they escaped comes for them, and a hidden threat to forest and underground folk alike grows in the shadows. Book number 10 comes out on February 18th and is Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. And so this is the sequel to Heartless Hunter and the final book in this duology. And this was one of my favorite books of last year, so I am super excited to read this duology and finally find out what happens. So book number 11 and the final book on this list comes out on February 18th, and it's Unhallowed Halls by Lili Wilkinson. And this one is a dark academia fantasy with demons. And I'm just going to read the brief little description on this one. So the description of this one reads, a teen girl travels to an exclusive boarding school after a deadly incident at her old school, but the wood-paneled halls of Agathon are built over centuries of secrets, including an ancient society which may have ties to demonic magic. So that little description right there already raises so many questions that I need answers to. Like, I want to know the details of this deadly incident at her old school, and I also want to know more about the secrets that this new school has and its ties to demonic magic. And then there's also another line in the longer description that I'm going to read because this line also makes me really want to pick up this book. So that line reads, Agathon is everything Paige has ever wanted. A safe haven full of dusty books, steaming cups of tea, and rigorous intellectual debate. Like, yes, I also want to go to a school that has a bunch of books and steaming cups of tea. And so this one sounds like it's going to be full of mystery and dark magic, and it sounds like it's going to be a really good read to pick up during spooky season. Alright, so those are 11 YA fantasy books coming out this February. Let me know down below if any of these caught your eye. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!